Well, good morning. Today's the 15th of March. It's day 27 of the quitting marijuana and video games that I've been doing. It's somewhat early in the morning, I suppose. Some good news as far as the physical elements of the quit are concerned. Last night I only got up to pee twice, and that was actually quite heartening. The last 27 days, or 26 days leading up to last night, it's been 3 times a night, typically after I've woken up from some kind of like heavy dream, some kind of vivid dream where it's either been some kind of nightmare or it's been a dream that resolved. Then I woke up and I lay there for a little bit and then realized I had to go to the bathroom. Typically in the past, and I guess this is one of the things that I'm noticing now. We're in week 4. Yeah, this is week 4. This is in the middle of week 4. Previously, when I was on testosterone replacement therapy, I noticed that this stuff would happen less and less in the first 2 weeks. And it could be age, I suppose, although it was only a year or so ago, or a couple of years ago, that I did another quit like this and I was noticing those things. So I don't know that it's necessarily age-related physiology. I think I have a feeling that it has something to do with not being on the testosterone and the recovery effect of testosterone. But yeah, I've actually felt really good. It's nice to not get up one extra time. It's nice to get this more sleep kind of put together, and the aim is to try to get back to sleeping all through the night, which was how it used to be, and particularly when I'm smoking or in the middle of a drug use period. You can actually get, or I was getting, from when I fell asleep to when I woke up in the morning to get up, that kind of sleep. That's what I'm aiming to get back to. I don't mind waking up once or twice, particularly if it was after some kind of weird dream. But I don't want to if I don't have to, if that makes sense. Anyway, I guess the point that I wanted to make here with this was that if it's worth observing that it feels like maybe the physical element has stretched out a little bit. And again, whether or not that's related to the testosterone or not, I don't know. I will say that recently I went on Clomid, which is a drug that helps to boost testosterone production. It related to another aspect of life that's going on for me right now, and I wonder also if that boost to the testosterone levels isn't affecting the recovery a little bit or not. I will be paying close attention to it though, because it's interesting noting that some of these physical symptoms have lasted longer, and some of the mental symptoms, for example, or emotional symptoms rather, so like the patience with people on the road and the less road ragey driving around, and the more the more general good feeling of disposition towards everyone, if that's not also sort of related to the change in hormones in the body. I'm no scientist, so all I can do is look at it from a layman's point of view and make notes of it. But yeah. As far as the video game quitting is gone, I had sort of a bit of an insight last night actually, and then again this morning, that marijuana and video games kind of work hand in hand in a lot of ways. When you're in the middle of a binge, you and I certainly found myself looking for more video game interaction because it was a way of keeping that dopamine going as much as possible. And so once I sort of pulled the marijuana out and I didn't have that hypercharged dopamine seeking behavior and that hypercharged dopamine production, video games really didn't seem as useful to me anymore. And not because of the addiction factor fading away, but more for the practical factor. I was less interested in chasing dopamine, so my focus and what I was setting my sights on was more productive behavior. It was more things that would get me ahead in my job, or get me ahead in my relationships, or with working out, something that could make me get me to work out better. More interest in what's going on in the stock market and the news in general, as a way of sort of managing that. And I have found that relationship, that sort of that dopamine relationship in the middle, once you pull away one of the legs, the other leg doesn't have the supporting leg to really hold it up. And so it's just sort of been slowly kind of fading away. And I've been actually enjoying that. I've been enjoying the fact that I've been kind of looking back at video games and realizing that it was not a waste of time. Well, no, it was a waste of time. But not necessarily something that I regret, as more something that I needed to get that deep into it before I figured out why it was that it wasn't a right. Like, why that feeling in the back of my mind was always there. Like, why are you a 37-year-old man playing video games like you're in your 20s? So if you're an older person, if you're older than 30 and you're watching this, keep that in mind. That hint of shame that you feel when you play video games, or when you get mad at some kid who's 14 on fucking Xbox Live, that shame is useful. And if you can blow it up in a way and try to actually read what it's saying, or get to what it's saying, you might find that you can see why you're not enjoying why you're doing that, and it might give you another reason to do it. But yeah, like I was saying, the hand holding of video gaming and marijuana use, once you pull away the marijuana use, the video gaming isn't as satisfying, and then you start to realize, oh, I should actually be doing other things. And then you start, ideally, if you have the self-awareness to sort of push yourself to do those kinds of things, you actually start to do those kinds of things, and you get satisfaction from it. For me, it's been writing. I know I've talked about that a lot, but for me, it really has been the writing that's been filling that gap. Yeah, and your body is more satisfied by things that are not so dopamine, so predatorily driven. And this is actually something else that I wanted to talk about real quick. Video games are designed to keep you hooked. There are psychologists that work for those companies who tell the game designers, here are the ways that you can stimulate dopamine production that will keep them coming back for those hits, that will keep them coming back for those things, particularly mobile gaming, because it's right in your hand, and they know that they don't get as much of your attention necessarily as a console game or a PC game might. So if you think that you're going to swap out console gaming with mobile gaming, you're kidding yourself, for starters, but you're also not going to get anywhere with that. You're just going to go straight down the same rabbit hole, and God help you if you do, because at the bottom of that is nothing. It's a bottomless pit, money-wise and attention-wise and feel-good wise. So start to look at these types of things. Pornography is the same. One of the things that I've noticed as someone who came up when pornography was on the internet, it was 56 kilobits per second, and you were watching a picture of Playboy. My brother and I would go to Playboy just to, it was the internet. We'd never been on it before. You go to the Playboy website, and it would take 20 minutes for an image to load. Oh, there's a boob. Oh my God, there's a bush. Oh, and then you can see her feet. And to go from that to hardcore high definition pornography on demand, and it's immediate. It's on your phone, bang, right there, and you can see a girl getting railed by 4 guys in high def from multiple angles, and that's mainstream. Like, that's normal. It's predatory. The development of pornography over time has become more and more predatory, and Pornhub in particular, and these websites that try to pass themselves off as somewhat wholesome, or somewhat good for people, like pornography is good for relationships, or good for people. In small doses, yeah, I can see how having porn on is good, but it's predatory. They're aiming to hijack your dopamine production so that you keep coming back, and I was one of those people that did for a long time. I will say getting off TRT definitely helped with separating myself from that, but more so now than ever, I've noticed that whenever pornography comes across my screen, or whenever I find myself maybe tempted to go, I go and look at it, and I just think to myself how desperate they are to get your attention. And when it's the women that you see that are the physical kind of exemplification of that desperation, it makes it less interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would fight me on that, and they're more than welcome. But I think video games and video games and pornography, and then the junk food, the kind of addiction-creating junk food that leads to all the little fatties that we see around here. It breaks my heart when I see fat young kids. I don't understand why anyone would allow that with their children. Those kids are going to struggle socially. They're going to struggle in the physical, the sexual marketplace, and they're going to be prone to more unhealthiness in their lives. And yeah, it's just also predatory. And so if you can pull out the leg, one of the main legs that helps to supercharge that by quitting marijuana, then you are less likely to be exposed to those other things. Anyway, that's all I have for everyone. Well, it's all I have for myself. I'm the only one who's watching these anymore. Yeah, that'll be it for today. Tomorrow, day 28, we're up to 4 weeks. Tomorrow, I'll likely want to put together a different video that has maybe a new spin on something. So yeah, I guess if you're here watching, I look forward to that. That's it for me. Ka kite.